Hello, my friends, and welcome to the True. I'm Robert Wallace, and this is the place where we ask, am I choosing the way of Jesus, or am I choosing my own way? I've titled this week's video devotionals, Grace Before Us. Last week we looked at the grace of God is given, grace of God is love, and the grace of God is expressed in action. So we're going to continue this week. This is week 2 of looking at grace. And we're going to look at some different aspects of grace, not only this week, but in the next few weeks to come. Because I think it's important for us to get a really whole picture of what God's grace really looks like and how it has shown itself as we've gone forward through time. What we need to understand is that grace is also referred to as favor. Kings show favor to people. Well, God showed his favor initially to the Hebrew children. And now, when we get to Christ in the New Testament, we find that God's grace is really available for all of humanity. So we're going to take this journey together. And we're going to begin by looking at how God's favor went before Moses. If you've never read the story of Moses beginning in Exodus chapter 1, I encourage you to do that. Exodus chapter 2 is our focus, verses 1 through 10 for today. I want to encourage you to read these 2 chapters. Take out a pen and paper and take some notes and ask yourself, am I seeing God's grace here? Am I seeing God's favor for Moses in this passage? And I believe that if you do that and you invite the Holy Spirit to help you, you will see this truth. It's not written out here that way, but we can see through the actions that take place God's favor. Here's how. Let me give you a little overview of the story, if you will. So, the new Pharaoh is in power, and he doesn't feel he owes anything to Joseph or the Israelites by any means. So he's upping the ante, if you will. He is becoming more oppressive to the Hebrew children than at any other time in their lives under Pharaoh's rule. Well, the Hebrew children, in spite of this oppression, are growing in number, exponentially even. And the male children are outnumbering the female children, and he is growing concerned about this possibility that they could rise up and overtake them. So what's he going to do? Well, he calls in the Hebrew midwives, and he says to them, look, as soon as that baby's born and you're able to tell whether it's a boy or a girl, if it's a boy, I want you to kill it. Well, the Hebrew midwives tell Pharaoh, look, you don't know how hardy these Hebrew women are. That's going to be really impossible for us to do. And he said, okay. Well, he keeps thinking about this. He's still concerned about it. So then he issues an order that all male babies are to be thrown into the Nile. He's ordering their death. He's ordering their death by drowning. Now let's fast forward to our passage in chapter 2, verses 1 through 10, and we see that Moses' mother gives birth to him, and she sees that he is a right healthy and handsome boy, and she decides to hide him. So she nurses him for 3 months, and then she can't hide him any longer. So what does she do? She decides to take a basket and pitch it with tar so that it won't sink. And then she lays Moses in this basket and she puts him in the Nile. Well, Moses' sister is watching. She wants to see who is going to discover her baby brother. Well, you'll never believe it, but Pharaoh's own daughter discovers Moses in the Nile and she rescues him. She saves him. Moses' sister goes running to her and says, would you like for me to find you a nursing Hebrew mother to nurse this child for you? And she says, yeah, that'd be a great idea. So Moses' sister runs home and gets Mama. Says, Mama, come on. So Moses' own mother continued to nurse him and care for him. Now you tell me, is this not the favor of God? Moses' mother was not given a divine vision. She wasn't approached by a prophet to tell her that her child Moses was going to be somebody special and that she needs to do what she can to save him. None of that happened. She just knew in her heart that Moses needed to be saved from this death. What we see in the rest of Moses' life is a continuation of God's favor, of God's grace in his life. Now, I want to encourage you this week, beginning today, take the time to read Exodus chapter 1 and chapter 2 and see for yourself if you do not see God's favor, his grace on Moses. I believe that you will. Invite the Holy Spirit to give you eyes to see and ears to hear God's truth from his word. Have a receptive heart and mind to receive that truth. And then, as the Holy Spirit leads you to take action regarding God's grace today, do so with the same boldness, commitment, and courage of Jesus. And ask yourself, am I choosing the way of Jesus, or am I choosing my own way? What will you do with what you learned here today? I pray you'll have a wonderful day, my friends. Go in the peace of God. Blessings to you. Bye for now.